Today we're going to be looking at the 2018 Senate elections if all key Democrats vote no on confirming Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. So there are very few Democrats that are actually vulnerable compared to where it was a year ago. And, when it comes down to it, there are many Republican seats that have now become vulnerable. States like Texas or Tennessee, Arizona, Nevada, these states have become more into the Democratic column, have leaned a little bit more into the Democratic column, which gives a possibility for a Democratic pickup in a number of these states. But a number of these key Democrats up in the Northeast, they're not really key Democrats. They're just Democrats. They're there. They're going to win their election regardless of how this eventually turns out because of their state's partisan factor. So I've listed out what I would consider key Democrats, and that includes the Rust Belt, so except for Minnesota. So Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, those three states. And then we have North Dakota, Missouri, Florida, West Virginia, Montana, Indiana, and Ohio. So I'm pretty sure I'm not missing anything important, but if I am, I will get to it in the video. So we're going to focus on, we're actually going to do this by a shaded region. So we're going to start off with the safe states for either political party, depending on how, let's say, these Democrats vote no against Brett Kavanaugh, but he's still confirmed through the, 50 with, McCain not going to possibly not voting, with Mike Pence breaking the tie, I guess. Actually, it wouldn't be a tie, so he wouldn't necessarily be able to. So, that all depends. But still, let's just say Brett Kavanaugh gets confirmed somehow and the Democrats vote against him. There still would be Democrats winning up across the Northeast. We really don't see a possibility of Democrats losing there, even if they do vote against Brett Kavanaugh, because, again, partisan factor, these states are extremely Democratic. Not Texas. Haven't seen Texas Democratic in a while. Minnesota and the Minnesota special election would still remain in the Democratic column, but that leaves up a total of 15 seats that are currently too close to call and up for grabs for either political party. So let's say the Democratic Party votes against Kavanaugh, and these are still going to be prediction ratings. There are still new approval polls that I'm going to be covering today, so there's going to be a video out about that. But right now we're looking at the map, and we're going to start off with putting some states into the the Democratic column. So even if they do vote against Kavanaugh, we see Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania still remaining in the Democratic column because these are not Republican states where Democrats need to win Republican voters. They can hold on to their Republican base and carry a couple more independent voters compared to states like West Virginia or Indiana or Tennessee, Montana, North Dakota, these typical Republican states where Democrats need to bring over conservatives to vote for them if they want to win. It's not going to be that important for the Democrats in these three Rust Belt states. So that pretty much finishes off our three states up in the Northeast. Sorry, not Northeast, Midwest, I guess. Pennsylvania, arguably Midwest or not. But Ohio, that one I still see as leaning in the Democratic column, even if he does vote against Brett Kavanaugh, because, again, he's not in too much of a Republican state. It still has Democratic tendencies, and it might even in the governor race, so that one could get a little bit closer. But that puts the Democrats at 42 and the Republicans at 47. And when we're looking at this map, obviously, if Claire McCaskill votes against Kavanaugh, this state is going to lean into the Republican column. Indiana already leaning into the Republican column, along with North Dakota. So this puts the Republicans at the majority. I forgot to fill in Virginia as a safe state for right now. But obviously, North Dakota, Indiana, Missouri, giving the Republicans a majority, already Republican states would still lean into the favor of the Republican Party if they do vote against Brett Kavanaugh, because it would lose them a number of voters. So they definitely should vote for them if they want to have a chance of re-election. Texas would still remain in the column for the Republican Party, but Tennessee I still see as remaining in the Democratic column. There isn't a Democratic incumbent who does not have the factor of the incumbency, but also can't screw up because they can't vote on the Brett Kavanaugh. They could definitely say they are in support of it, which would definitely help them, but again, that's probably not going to be a top-notch issue considering that their vote doesn't matter at this moment until they do become a senator. Arizona and Nevada I still see leaning in the Democratic column only because, again, no Democratic incumbent. The Democratic incumbent can't screw up that bad. So, again, because there isn't a Democratic incumbent, they can't screw up at all. And also, these races are probably going to stay the same unless there is someone who is going for re-election and is going to be a Republican who's still going to vote for Brett Kavanaugh regardless. So, not that much is going to change in those states. Florida, if Bill Nelson votes against it, Florida goes to the GOP. Already, Scott is leading in opinion polls right now, but also we're going to be analyzing Bill Nelson's approval today, so it'll be pretty interesting. West Virginia, there's a new poll out that shows Joe Manchin winning by 2%, if he does vote against Brett Kavanaugh and 18% if he votes for Brett Kavanaugh. So obviously it'd be much more beneficial to his campaign if he does vote for Brett Kavanaugh, but still, it seems like he would win his election regardless, even if it is by a close amount. But that's why I'm putting it in the leaning column. But Montana, I do think Matt Rosendale could narrowly defeat Jon Tester if he does vote against it. This state still is a Republican state, and even though Matt Rosendale is not as known, we could see a possibility of Jon Tester losing in the state of Montana, which we haven't seen in a number of my predictions. But that finishes off our Senate map at 47 Democrats and 53 Republicans. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.